So you may be wondering, why am I sitting on my bed? Why am I wearing long pants, t-shirt and a beanie even though it's Australian summer? The answer to the beanie is I went to the Australian Game Awards and the Smash Brothers beanie is rad and I refuse to take it off. The t-shirt and long pants, however, is because I'm having guests today. Guests that are going to sit in this tiny little hut, hopefully for a while, but we'll see how that goes. Because they kind of just do whatever they want. Hopefully they'll come out though. You're finally getting the video about my rats that everyone keeps asking for. So, I have two little ratties. Their names are Daenerys and Drasani. They were born on the 4th of May, 2018. I picked them up on the 7th of July, 2018, because the breeder had to wait until they were of a certain age. Obviously the name Daenerys for this little one comes from Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. So that's where her name comes from. It's from Game of Thrones for her. My little Daenerys Targaryen, who naturally took on every aspect you could imagine of Daenerys, including being very headstrong and doing whatever she pleases, don't ya? And if anyone's going to quote me on having the wrong idea about Daenerys, I haven't read the books, I've only watched the show. Please don't yell at me in the comments. As for my other little baby, her name is Drasani. Now Drasani's name comes from the fact that I kept accidentally, before I got them, referring to Daenerys as Drasani. So whilst Daenerys' name comes from the Game of Thrones character, Drasani's name comes from my Dungeons and Dragons character. Drasani is bigger than her sister, by a fair amount. She's quite large. Aren't ya? You my big chunky monkey? Are you my big chunky monkey? Do you want to sit up on my shoulder, show everyone what you do? No? Yes? No? Yes. So she will usually plonk herself here. And this is her comfort spot. She will stay here for as long as she pleases, which today is not very long. Probably because I woke her up. But sometimes she will sit there for close to half an hour. Their little giraffe hut I bought for them off the website I Got Rats, which follows them on Instagram. And their blankets are all from Kmart. A lot of their supplies I've bought from a variety of different pet stores. Come here, don't run too far. A lot of their stuff, so when it comes to their bedding, I've bought all that from Pet Food Plus. And then, was it all from Pet Food Plus? No! So, majority of it was Pet Food Plus. A couple of things came from another pet store, which is about like a 45-minute drive from me, so I got a lot of stuff from there as well. They started out in a cage that was given to me by a friend, and it had been like tossing up in my head about getting mice, because I used to have lots of mice, and Eileen said pictures like here and here of that. I used to have mice, and I absolutely adored having mice. I had 7 mice at once at one stage, because we bought what we thought was a boy mouse, which then turned out to be a pregnant girl mouse. So we ended up looking after 6 baby mice, which was fantastic. I adored it. I loved it. So I'd been tossing up for ages about getting mice, and I knew that I would have to get a new cage, because the last time I had mice was when I was about, gosh, how old was I? It was before I started high school. So at the very latest, it was 2008, so 10 years ago, I last had mice. And their cage has been sitting in our garage, and it's a little bit rusty. So I was like, okay, I need a new cage. So a friend of mine was like, hey, I got this old rat cage I don't need anymore, because I've upgraded my rat to a fancy bougie-ass rat cage. Would you like a rat cage? And I then took that as an excuse to look up rat breeders, because I refused to buy from a pet store, because I'd heard that you needed to have more than one rat, and that sometimes if you buy from a pet store they can fight with one another because they're not from the same litter. I found a wonderful breeder by the name of Cyclone Mousery, and she had this gorgeous little litter of ratties that had just been born, and I fell in love instantly with their original photo. We nicknamed one of them Spot Butt because there was little spots on the butt, which turned out I think just to be dirt, because neither one of these girls has a spotty butt. Do you have a spotty butt? You got ginger spots though. They have ginger spots after their dad. So I ended up going and getting them from there, had them in a little carrier that also came from my friend, But as they grew and got larger, especially Drasani, I was like, ooh, we're gonna need a bigger cage. So it was back to that pet store. The cage they currently have is actually a ferret cage, but it works fantastic for them. I know some people would be like, you need to get bigger than what you've got. It works perfect for them. They're happy, they enjoy it. I have an Instagram account for them, and with their old cage, I did get a few comments where people were like, it's too small, it's too small, it's too small. And it was alright for a starter cage. It was better than a little plastic crate. It wasn't a cage that was being incorrectly sold as a mouse cage, which I do see a lot. So it was a perfect little starter cage for them. And I give them little paper toys, and I brush them, and you guys are not allowed plastic toys because you just eat them and destroy them, don't you? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah. And so their diet, I have them on, I think the brand is Vetafarm Origins. I'll insert a picture. I have them on that pellet, and that's their constant pellet, so they always have access to that, and they always have access to water. As for treaties and fresh food, I typically give them either mushrooms or carrots, because that's what they absolutely adore. They love carrot. They love mushroom, but they'll eat the brown part of the mushroom and then stash the white part of the mushroom for later, which can be quite frustrating when you go to like pick someone up and you find all this mushroom underneath them. It's like, oh hi, thanks. I've been giving them grapes lately too, because it's summer, so there's like fruit that's really nice, so I give them grapes and they love that. The funniest part is watching them shove a whole, like nearly an entire grape in their mouth and run off with it. It's like, oh, can you maybe not do that? Can you also not go in there? Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Where are you going? Okay. They're trying to chew the cords on my pants, so I'm going to put the hut there so they can't do that. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? But I really do love them. I really do adore them. They're lots of fun to have around, aren't ya? And all my friends really love them. Even like my manager at work, he is in love with my rats. And they like my mum, and they kind of like my dad. I think they're a bit unsure about my dad, because he's not as like affectionate towards them as my mum is. He said from the get-go he wasn't going to be super into them, which was fine. You're my little babies. Yeah, you are. My absolute darling babies. Outside the stuff I feed them too. Sometimes, this is sometimes foods now. I'll give them a bit of chicken or a bit of egg, so it's like some protein sources for them, because they are omnivorous. They are able to eat meat and things like that. So I do like giving them a bit of chicken. I gave them a bit of steak the other night, and Daenerys missed it and got my finger instead and took a chunk out of my finger. So that was fun. Maybe not going to give them steak again because of that. I don't feed them dairy. I do that on advice from a vet. He said to me, he was like, don't feed them dairy because it can like make them congested and lead towards more respiratory infections. Daenerys luckily has only had one bout of infection, whereas Drasani has gone through it a couple times. But I know how to self-medicate them. I was taught that by the vet, so it's not like I'm just taking some wild internet information on that. I have actually been shown and taught by a vet, given the correct medicine, given little syringes for them, knowing how to do it all. And Drasani will take her medicine perfect. Wait, yeah. Drasani will take her medicine perfect, whereas Daenerys, I have to soak a bit of bread and she has to eat the bread because she hates the syringe. She refuses to touch the syringe, and it's quite annoying sometimes. From day one, she was scared of the syringe. The vet stuff is really important to me. Like, I made sure, I tried 2 vets, and luckily the second vet was the right fit. Next door's dog is barking, which means my dog might start barking. But the second vet was the right fit. He was fantastic, and he knew everything he was talking about. He gave me a little care sheet and all that type of stuff, and was like, here's what you can do, here's how to like treat them if they get a little bout of it again. Drasani does this thing where every time I clean the cage, she gets a bit sneezy, just because there is a bit of like dust kick up. I go for a dust-free bedding, but you're still going to get a bit of dust kick up anyway. It just means that like when they're moving it around, there's no huge amounts of dust. I've tried a couple different bedding types and cage layouts, and kind of found what's best for them in terms of like the least amount of sneezes. What I have at the moment is pretty good. We haven't had many sneezes at all. So it's shredded paper and a type of bedding that I had to buy because Pet Barn were out of the bedding I usually use, where it's like little recycled paper pellets, but it is very dust free, and that's what I like about it. Because the old one claimed to be dust free and it was naturally derived, but when you would clean the cage you'd find all this dust in the bottom, which meant that when I would do the new clean they would then be rearranging everything, kick up that dust from the bottom, and I'd get sneeze, 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 sneeze. That's another reason why I go for shredded paper over newspaper, because newspaper also gave them sneezes too. Apparently I've read online that some ratties can have dust allergies. I don't know if that's what she's got, but it could possibly be, and that would explain why she sneezes so much every time I clean the cage. Where are you going? Where are you? No. Not your toys. A big mistake that a lot of people do is they do give them like a wood shaving type bedding, which was fine for mice, because mice, when I looked after them, they weren't prone to the same type of things that these girls are prone to. I'm getting smothered with kisses right now. They weren't prone to the same type of things these guys are prone to. With my mice, majority of them did pass away from tumours, just because mice are a lot more prevalent to getting like cancerous tumours and things like that. With these little guys, there is chance of both uterine and mammary tumours. I could opt to have them desexed to take the chance down to 4% as opposed to 40% chance, but I'm constantly tossing up about that because they are such small, fragile little animals, and I am not sure if I want to put them through something as invasive and as extensive as that. I give them the mushrooms because it's got really good qualities that help protect against those type of tumours and things like that. So keeping a nice healthy diet for them, low in bad carb, so you can give them their own not their own bedding, rat made food, like the little pellets, that's a good carb, but it's basically like with humans, don't feed your rat junk food and don't feed them food that's not made for rats. My dad said several times he brings home dog treats and he's like, oh, the rats could have this, but I have to go through and read every single ingredient to make sure it's something I'm comfortable giving them. There's a little biscuit treat that I buy them every so often, and I've run out at the moment, and it's the Pipkins brand, and they love them. They think it's really great. There's little carrot shapes and little clover shapes, and they really adore it, don't you? You love it. I've been rambling about you for ages. You just tried to snatch my nose ring. But yeah, I've actually rambled for quite some time, and I don't know if any of it is what anyone wanted to know about the rats. I put a video up the other week, and it was just a 6-minute supercut of little like home videos of them with a very like VHS-y feel to it, I find, and some like chill beats in the background. So I will link to that at the end of this video in case you are wanting some more rat content. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe. I don't really care about you hitting the bell. I don't post that often anyway. But if you want to make sure that you know when I do, definitely hit the bell, all that type of fun jazz. If you love my tiny little ratties, make sure to click like. Daenerys is going to escape again. Is she going? She's going. Where are you going? Where are you going? Did Mummy get lipstick on you? No. But yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.